to pound you.
Oh, Jesus! Help! Help! Oh, God! Come on, pick up.
Thank you for calling the
Hello? Hotline? Oh, thank God. There's a man in my house. He's trying to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. So what's the name of the song you're going to be trying to sing for us today?
What? Song? No, sir, I'm going to get... Please, send someone down here to help me!
No, we heard you the first time, but we still made the name of the song if you want to participate in today's competition.
Ah! This is the hotline, right?
Nope, you called the rap hotline.
Ah!
This is 42069 The Spurg, and I'm your host, Max, and today we're trying to find some talented individuals to spit out some fire beats for us so that we can vote to see...
Shut the fuck up! Stop! I'm gonna get... Do you understand me? I'm going to fucking die to a blue dog's fat...
Well, you don't know that. He might want to keep you alive so that he can...
Ah! Fucking useless!
So, are you trying to say you don't have a title for your song?
No. Listen here, motherfucker. If I make it out of here alive, I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna fucking strangle you!
Oh, I'm sorry, Radical Raccoon, but if you don't have a title, then I'm gonna have to disqualify you. Aww. Let's send him off with a goodbye song.
Whoa! Let's pause right there. We have a very unfortunate situation where we have this individual using a racial slur to another living person. This is wrong because this word is hurtful, so it can hurt a person's feelings. Hurting people's feelings is bad. Let's talk to Rigozen's parents to see if they have anything to say about this act of aggression against our allies of color. Oh, here's his father right now. Excuse me, sir. Do you have anything to say about your son saying the no word against our African-American allies? Oh my! He's just as racist as Rigozen. Perhaps his mother will have a better sense of morality. Ma'am, do you have any thoughts on your son saying the no word?
No me gustan los negros.
Oh dear. It all makes sense now. Of course Rigozen isn't going to have the proper understanding of racism because his parents instilled the mindset of bigotry from an early age. It is truly a shame that generations of people were raised up with a primitive concepts of race. Children in their youth being brought up to see that color is weakness, culture is barbaric, individualism is king. Fear sending their little minds into a frenzy as a person of color walks by. Or, in the worst case scenario, growing a seed of hate that will fester in their souls like weeds in a flower bed. Hate building up in their subconscious that the desire to maim and slaughter those who look different from them. I'm sorry to say that at this point in time, racism will always plague the soul of men. But we can still do our due diligence by cutting the roots of discrimination at the early stages in a child. This is a job that is meant for the parents to do, but many are failing to do so. Either they are actively teaching their children bigoted ideologies to their children, or they lack the need to teach their children about the dangers of racism. It seems hopeless, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. This is where media comes into play. On multiple occasions, we've discussed how on TV shows or movies can have an underlying theme that can pose questions that can lead an audience to come up to a conclusion. If done properly, the message can even penetrate the most stubborn individuals. So with this in mind, media can help break down the walls of misinformation and dissolve the rot that is taking root in the young minds of the world. Media can help treat racism. If you think about it, it would be a good idea if companies made good shows with political messages more regularly. That way, we can... Oh? Hello? That term is hateful, and you shouldn't say that. Okay. Give me 1 second. Ah, I see. Well, go ahead and put him on the bed. Are you alright? Very well then, I'll continue on with the show. As I was saying, I believe that companies should produce more media with political messages that'll help push back this deep-seated racism.
Huh?
I'm sorry?
Run that shit back again for me.
I said that companies should have more political messages in their TV shows.
Right, I'll take it from here. Thank you.
Oh, are you sure you're okay to do this? Did you just soil yourself?
I can't close my asshole. I've been shitting out cum for the past 3 hours.
I'll let myself out.
Yeah, you do that. Alright, let me see the script and see where we are. Okay, something, okay, somewhat understandable. Okay, so let's talk about what our little liberal friend here just said now. Most of the stuff that he said I agree with. It's a fucked up world with ignorant people refusing to change. You know, people like me. Hee hee. Look, complain all you want, okay? But my stance stands unchanged. If we nuked England off the face of the earth, then the world will finally heal. But here's where things get tricky, though. He mentioned something about companies putting more political messages in TV shows or movies. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that take. I'm somewhere in the middle, like a 50-50, 30-60 even? Look, not every show or movie needs to have some takeaway. A show or movie can just be dumb fun where you leave without really learning anything or taking something valuable from it. That's absolutely fine. But on the flip side, I believe for a show or movie to be memorable, legendary even, it needs something that will cause audiences to continue mulling over the show or movie in their heads long after watching it. It could be a message of some kind, or it could just be a really compelling plot. But we're not talking about a masterpiece today. We're talking about a show that teaches kids how racism works. Because let's face it, there are a lot of boomers out there making carbon copies of themselves, unfortunately. So maybe a show does need to question how the kid sees life from time to time. Not all questions will lead to good places, mind you, but Season 2 of Green Eggs and Ham sure does a great job laying down the bits and pieces of racism so that a child can understand it. Ironic, though, that a show based around a book made by Dr. Seuss, who was recently pointed out as a racist, would do a good job explaining how racism manifests. Anywho, around the middle of 2022, I was watching Season 2 of Green Eggs and Ham. I thought the first season was really good, so of course, I had to tune in to Season 2. Season 1 didn't have anything particularly deep when it comes to themes, from what I recall, so I was definitely caught off guard when Season 2 decided to tackle themes about racism. There are a couple of subplots within the show, but we want to focus on the subplot around the two kingdoms, Ukiah and Zukia. As episode 1 goes on, we see news reports on the television reporting that the Mula Kamu, this is gonna be fucking difficult to say the entire fucking video, was stolen, an item coveted by both Ukiah and Zukia. During the report, we get to see what the leaders of each kingdom thought who stole the Mula Kamu. But it's during this brief moment that we get our little taste of racism awaiting us in this season. When both parties were blaming each other, they called their rival a very specific name. The people of Ukiah were referred to as Ukes, and the people of Zukia were referred to as Zooks. Now, as an avid racist, I couldn't help but feel Zooks and Ukes were racial slurs in that particular situation. Granted, no one gets offended when they're referred to as either Zook or a Uke. It's basically how they're referred to in the entire season. But with how the Ukes are talking about the Zooks and the Zooks about the Ukes, you can't help but to feel some spicy racism in there. Oh, well, of course I do. You gotta let me explain myself here, cunt. Besides, the news report scene we have... Yeah? Yeah, man. I'm fine. I said... I'm fine. Besides the news report scene, there are other scenes that supports the idea that the show is trying to show kids how racism manifests and how ultimately racism is stupid to follow. The show takes its time revealing more and more about the ongoing racial tensions between the Ukes and the Zooks. Not to mention that the racial issues are integrated well within the overall plot of Green Eggs and Ham. So kudos to the writers for not making it so jarring. Let's talk about the interrogation scene first, since that scene alone sets up the entire subplot of the two warring kingdoms. After being kidnapped by the Zooks, Guy and EB are interrogated by the Zookian secret police. You know, subtle there. Which, that alone is fucking wild for a show made for a younger audience to mention a secret fucking police force. But shit gets crazier down the line, I assure you. Once the secret police figures out that Guy and EB aren't Uke spies, they play it off as if they were actually rescuing them. They even go as far as to say that they're the good guys and the Zooks are the bad guys. So now we, as an audience, are presented with a dilemma. Who in this conflict really are the true bad guys? In the episode before this one, we were led to believe that the Ukes were the good guys and the Zooks were the bad guys. Now, we got the Zooks saying that they're the good guys. The key difference here, though, is we get more information from the Zooks via a propaganda video.
And they are terrible, inconsiderate, arrogant, shrill, not to mention lazy, loud, surly, frumpy, dumpy, shifty, gifty, stupid, rude, cantankerous, swamancorous, dishonest, disheveled, dyspeptic, and generally unpleasant to be around.
I mean, come on, you can't tell me that's not racist. After watching that, we can't help but to feel compelled to believe the Zooks rather than the Ukes. One key thing to pay attention to the propaganda video is how they butter their toast, because that alone will determine whether you're a friend or getting lynched next Sunday. The Zooks even feel it necessary to censor an image of a slice of toast buttered incorrectly. They make it a point in their video that the proper way to butter a slice of toast is having the butter facing down.
Keep your spirits up and your butter down.
And the Ukes are the same way, but they eat their toast with the butter facing up. Two factions, ready to commit mass genocide because the other likes to butter their toast a certain way. So infatuated with the simple difference that they've built up a wall to separate themselves. Well damn, ain't that goofy, y'all? Something so simple, like butter and toast causing two kingdoms to despise each other. Ain't we glad we're not that stupid to hate a fellow man on something so simple? Say, I don't know, skin color? Nah, never! Humanity could never be that moronic. Right? Racism comes in two different places within a person's soul: fear and hate. Both things can cause a person to have a racial prejudice at any point in their life. All it takes is one event to throw someone's judgment down the drain. The propaganda video captures both ideas of how racism forms in its argument as to why to dislike the Ukes. It shows you why to fear the Ukes and why to hate the Ukes. Yeah, the show at this point hammers down some points well and establishes how racism can come to be, All it takes is for someone to come along to take something so simple and mundane and twist it into something that simple people will either fear or hate. And to fuel this idea even further, these men will try to educate you into believing the world is black and white. We're the good guys, and the people who look and act different are the bad guys. But the show isn't done yet, though. It got half of its point across thus far. At this point of the story, we still have to choose who's the bad guy, the Zooks or the Ukes, with the Ukes so far looking to be the bad guys. Later on in the season, a love interest for EB is introduced to the plot, Luca, the Prince of Ukiah. Ooh, but wait! The Ukes are the bad guys! The Zooks said they were, so it must be true! Think of this little interaction between these two, like as if a white man who don't like black folk met up with a black man that would inevitably change his entire worldview. Ironically, EB didn't know Luca was Uke royalty when she first met him at the top of the wall. They hit it off pretty well, but things quickly changed when Luca goes to butter his toast up instead of down. A clear sign that Luca is a Uke. The white man meeting up with his online friend only to find out his friend was black the entire time. EB musters up some courage though and goes to see Luca. After evading the border patrol with Luca, they go around the empty streets of Ukiah. It's during this time that the propaganda from the Zook starts to wear off as she starts to notice some contradicting sights, like the Aquatic Center. Once thought to be a piece of shit, now seeing it with her own eyes, EB notes that the Uke's Aquatic Center isn't a piece of shit at all. In fact, it actually looks nice. She also starts to notice that the Ukes actually have culture via the multiple statues and museums, something that savages wouldn't have. But it's in the museum that we get a huge revelation that changes up the once perceived notions of both parties. Hidden behind an area that's been under construction for years, EB and Luca find a mural of a kingdom that's named Ukiah. I would like to mention before we go any further that trying to keep up with the names of the kingdoms has given me some sort of Down syndrome. On multiple occasions, I've had to go back to make sure I didn't get the names mixed up. The best way I was able to remind myself who was which group I would most likely be racist towards. And of course, that would be the Zooks. Filthy fucking bastards. I mean, who the fuck butters their toast upside down? Oh wait, that's right, a fucking woman! Only a woman can come up with the most brain-dead thing imaginable and find a way to get everyone else to follow along. This is why we shouldn't allow women to run any form of position of power.
You can't say that. That's sexist and rude.
We're just joking. Wink, wink. But no, yeah, fuck these confusing names, and fuck these filthy, degenerate, low-life, good-for-nothing, cum-guzzling, shit-sniffing, foul-smelling, inbred-looking, mentally deficient Zooks! Those bastard Zooks deserve to be wiped off from the face of the earth! Exterminate them all! Hang all the neck! Naturally, EB and Luca wanted to know more about this Ukiah that once existed. Luckily for them, all they had to do was put a red thingy together, and all the answers would be revealed to them. Due to a dispute on how to butter toast properly, the two dukes split Ukiah into two kingdoms, which of course were Zukia and Ukiah. And ever since the first stone toss, they were in a war that seems to have no end unless one side annihilates the other. So now the truth has been revealed to the audience, but one question still remains. Who's really the bad guy in this situation? Well, both sides. Or neither side, depending on how you view it. The claims of one place and the people being worse than the others, of course, not true, but we still have a little bitty issue of total extermination of one possible side. Later on, we learn that each side has been creating a weapon of mass destruction that would end the war. Only problem is, these weapons need the Mu Lakamu to power it up. So we see Zooks and Ukes resorting to pretty shitty tactics to get their hands on the Mu Lakamu. We get to the climax where both sides launch their warheads, but it's Pam's quick thinking that stops the entire land from becoming another Hiroshima. The only thing that was destroyed was the wall dividing both parties. Ooh, symbolism, me likey. The people of Zukia and Ukiah are hesitant to get close to each other, and we almost had this little adventure mean nothing. as the leaders fight over a butter sandwich. Again, more symbolism, until they actually try the sandwich and realize it was good, thus ending the feud between the Ukes and the Zooks. But gentlemen, just when you thought the show got its point across, it hits the kids with something a little bit more advanced. In the very first episode, you have this detective lady character, who was also in the first season, that for some reason wanted to interrogate a cow. At first, one would think it's just a gag, like, haha, the cow looks suspicious. And it carries on, since we never hear from this subplot until the very last episode of season 2. Apparently, the cows formed an organization that fueled the war, and dare I say, started the war. So of course, they can profit off the gains. All the cows have to do is launch stones at the other side and make it look like their enemies did it, and boom comes the money flow. But do you know what's really crazy about this subplot? Once the detective is done exposing the truth to the people, they all looked at her as if she was insane, as if she was some cracked conspiracy theorist, even as the people had the evidence right in their fucking faces! The fact that the writers got away with this is pretty insane, given how, well, yeah, you get it. With using buttered toast as a allegory for racism, Green Eggs and Ham effectively shows younger audiences how simple differences can cause devastating conflicts and keep people divided even though we are one of the same. Parents might not want to teach their children this for some reason, but someone has to do it. Thankfully, Green Eggs and Ham did it in such a way that doesn't feel too preachy or leaves room for, to be fair, points. Unlike Elemental, where they try to touch on the race issue as well, but they do it in a poor way. The fire people have a legitimate reason as to fear and hate the water people since, well, I don't know, they can literally die if the water person gets the fire person wet. Fucking stupid. But yeah, race isn't bad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye for now.